my lovely sports fans. I hope you've been wheeling and dealing, styling and profiling, and swishing and dishing, because this is the very first episode of Boundin and Astoundin, hosted by yours truly, Ryan Fetch. And just so you all know, we got the name from the GOAT, Walt Clyde Frazier. If you know, you know. And without further ado, let's get into it. So first and foremost, I've been wanting to do this for a while now, as long as I can remember. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I have all of the sports opinions in the world and not enough time to share them all. So I figured, why not make a platform and actually talk about it to a camera and see where it goes from there. The whole goal of this is, outside of me just sharing my random sports opinions, is I have such an appreciation for sports and for the game that I just want everyone else to be able to see it the way that I do, in terms of just sports are a beautiful thing that bring people together and make people happy. And I think there's so many different nuances and parts of sports that we don't even think about and realize that go into the success of our teams, the failures of our teams, and I just want to get into that stuff and really get into the nuances of what makes sports so great. So that's what the show's going to be, and I'm excited to share my ideas with you guys and share this with you all. And I hope I can create a space that is just one for all of us to sit around, debate, talk, just really figure out what makes sports so special to all of us. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, I have a couple different segments that I've been bouncing around, and this will get more concrete as we go along. But for the start, I have come up with a segment that I like to call Box Score Watchers, where on every Monday and Friday, if it's a Monday, I'll go over the football games from the weekend and all that stuff. And if it's a Friday, I'll just kind of recap some of the games from the week. And I just go over different box scores that I found interesting, exciting, bad. Not always going to be bad. Mainly going to be shout outs, good stuff. But if by bad, I more mean I'm going to provide context. We're going to see why they're bad. What was the issue? What went wrong? Was it their fault? Was it the team? Was it the game plan? Things like that. Or actually looking in depth rather than just being, well, this guy had a bad game, so he is bad. The whole idea is I want to add nuance and context to these box scores rather than actually being a box score watcher, i.e., why it's called box score watchers. And so the first one we're going to start with is from the Knicks game last night, which I know probably comes as not a shock to any of you, but I have to. And I don't have to because of my boy Jalen Brunson, even though he did drop 41, 8, and 8. That is not who we're here to shout out today. We are here to shout out my boy Isaiah Hartenstein, who has been the best center in the league ever since he took over for Mitchell Robinson. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but the man has been ridiculous, and he has filled in without the slightest misstep. So last night, Isaiah Hartenstein had 6 points, 17 rebounds, 5 of those offensive, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. And he really has just been such a perfect fit in the starting lineup. His ability to pass the ball is incredible for a guy his size. He's one of the few centers in the league who can make certain pocket passes and just find an open man that some point guards can't even find half the time. You can really tell that the work that he did with Nikola Jokic whenever he was back in Denver has paid off. I think he's had probably over 3 assists for most games that he has started for us so far, ever since Mitch went out. Over his last 7, he's averaging 6.7, 15.4 rebounds, 3 assists even, 3 steals even, and about a block and a half. He has been ridiculous, and as a Knicks fan, since I've been voting for the whole team, I've been voting him for the All-Star game because he deserves it. He deserves it. I'm going to push that agenda. I heart for the All-Star game. It will never, ever, ever happen, but I just love him to death, so I'm going to push the agenda. My next shout-out comes from college basketball, and this game was crazy. It was the USF-Memphis game. Memphis was ranked 10, came down to the wire. USF pulls it out and beats them by 1. And there was one kid on USF that really helped put him over the top. He came off the bench. His name is Selton Miguel, and he had 23, 2, and 1. He went on a personal 7-0 run with like 5 minutes left in the second half to bring them within 4. And after that, USF was in it to win it. They took over the rest of the game, came down to some free throws at the end. They pull out by 1. It's an absolutely crazy game. Selton shot 9 for 15 and 5 for 10 from 3. He was lighting it up out there. And because of it, Memphis will no longer be ranked 10. It's going to be interesting to see how far they drop. They still have a really good team. I don't think it'll be too far. USF fought really hard. I bet it they still ended up in the top 15, top 20 at worst. I really can't see them being any lower than 15 though. My next shout out goes to who everyone right now, I'm not going to say everybody, but the discourse recently is that maybe he's baby Paul Pierce. If you know, you know. I'm talking about J-Dub, Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, the Thunder won last night, and they beat the Timberwolves, and they beat them off of the strength of obviously my opinion, maybe the MVP frontrunner in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, obviously Jokic has been doing his thing. Joel Embiid is somehow having a career year after having a career year last year and winning MVP. But Shai just does things on a basketball court that I don't really see that many guards ever do, and it's leading to lots and lots and lots of winning. Sorry, little Shai side tangent, but I had to say it because Shai is amazing. Anyway, so last night, J-Dub dropped 27, 3, and 8, and hit some big clutch shots to help push the Thunder over the Timberwolves. And without this little stretch he's been on recently, over his last 3 games, he's averaging 25.6, 3 rebounds even, and 7 assists even. I don't know where the Thunder would be right now. He has been such an important piece, and I honestly think, I don't want to say underrated because everybody knows J-Dub is good. But even after last year, I mean, he's showing things that I don't think a lot of people expect him to do. His shot creation is great. He really, I mean, 3-level score is there. It is there. I mean, the way he moves, it's just so fluid. I don't see how people don't see. Not that he's going to be as good as Paul Pierce, but their play styles, they just move the same. They move so smooth on the court. There's a reason Paul was called the Truth. There's a lot of similarities there. And shout out my boy Click Productions for bringing it up. Because I see it. I see the vision. And my last shout out today is going to come from a loss, actually. Domantas Sabonis, who put up 21, 11, and 10. This is just a quick little mini shout out because all-star him. He is so low in voting right now, and I don't know why. He is averaging 17, 11, and 7. All-star him. Put him in there. Him and De'Aaron. Shout out to the Kings. They deserve all of the love in the world. So moving on, I kind of want to get into some big-time recent NBA news, as most of you probably know by now. Pascal Siakam was traded to the Indiana Pacers for 3 first-round picks, Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and Kira Lewis Jr. Shout out to the Pelicans in cash considerations for being the big winner of this trade. Just thought that was hilarious. The Pelicans were so random, out of nowhere in that notification from Woj. I don't know where. Kira Lewis was in this deal, by the way, and so was a second-round pick from New Orleans. And we were all like, oh, okay. But, so, you know, the Pelicans needed to get under the luxury tax, so ship out Kira, under the luxury tax. All good. Anyways, for the Pacers side of things, I like this a lot. I don't think it pushes them past the top 4 in the East, which, in my opinion right now, is the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Knicks. I don't think it pushes them past any of those 4 teams. But as a Knicks fan, I can't act like this roster not makes me nervous, but they can compete. They will definitely show up. They're going to score. They're going to score the ball. And I especially like the idea of this transition offense. I know JJ Redick brought it up on his podcast. Click brought it up, and he was talking about it. Their transition offense, because Pascal was first in transition field goal percentage and points, I believe, and Hallie is first in transition assists. I mean, I know Rick Carlisle is having daydreams already about what that's going to look like. It's going to be a fast-moving offense, even faster than it already was, which is kind of crazy to think about considering that they're the highest-rated offense in NBA history right now. And adding more offense can't hurt. They really can't. Now, they still cannot defend a thing whatsoever. Pascal does help that. But They already did have interior defense with Miles, even though he's not having as good of a year as last year. Fortifying your front court defensively, I think, is good, but they just don't have any real stoppers. Pascal's good out on the perimeter. He's good on his feet. He can move. He's got good perimeter defense, good at the point of attack, but he's not your guy that you want stopping someone for 38 minutes a game. He's not going to be your guy that you're putting on the big wing, on your Kevin Durant's, on your Jason Tatum's. It's not what you're doing with Pascal. So I don't know where you go from there. It's going to be interesting. I don't think they're done yet. I think they may have one more move in store. It's going to be a small one, but I see there's probably some small rotational piece that they can pry for. I don't know who. I don't know what the Pacers are think or the Pacers, the Trailblazers are thinking about Matisse Thybulle, but that is a name that comes to mind because he's a guy that can defend his ass. And I don't know where the Blazers are at with how if they want to keep him or not, but I feel like he could be valuable on a team that's trying to at least make a good playoff run. So I would like that for them. Maybe a more wing stopper like him. I don't know. On the Raptors side of things, at first I was intrigued. The more I thought about it, the less I liked it. What are they doing over there? I I assume the rotation doesn't change much from here. I assume Bruce probably just comes off the bench. Does Nora even get real minutes? I mean, I don't know. It's clearly they're trying to just sell it all at this point and figure out what they want to do in the draft. But if you guys remember, last trade deadline, they traded their own first round pick in this draft for Jakob Pertl, who is good, don't get me wrong, and he is a serviceable big man. But for one, he's definitely not your future at the center position, given that he's also 29. Two, why would you trade away? The whole reason they traded away their pick was because they thought that this draft class was not good enough to warrant keeping a pick. So then why trade for two more in the class that you didn't like already? How does that even make sense, Masai? I don't know what your plan is here, and I don't think it's going to be solved by Alexander Sarr. I really, really don't. I like some of the pieces they have. I love RJ. I love Quick. RJ's got his issues, but I think Toronto and being next to Scotty can be a good place for him to iron out those issues, especially with Quick being his lead guard. I think they have such good chemistry, and Quick understands how RJ's game works that it'll definitely give him a boost. And I also think that Quick is going to be, I can't say on the level of Tyrese Maxey. That's such a, I mean, he's on an entirely different level this year. But I think within the next 2 years, we will be talking about Quick the way we were talking about Maxey this year. He has that potential. He can almost do it all more than Maxey can. He's a better rebounder, better passer. I would probably say Maxey, but he's darn close. And he is a phenomenal POA defender. I mean, he is just so instinctual and so smart, and his wingspan just allows him to make up for so much ground on the perimeter. It is ridiculous. He has so much potential. And I saw someone asked Darko about if he saw him becoming Drew Holiday. He said that he needed to eat more and sleep more and work out more. And he's right, but he's also got a chance. I could absolutely not Drew Holiday levels of defense, but he can be up there. Not the best defender in the league, but a top 15 defender in the running for all defense guy, I can see it. I really can. He's just so athletic, so quick, so lengthy. He can absolutely do it. I see big things for Quick, and maybe this is just still my Knicks colored goggles being put on, and I'm going to be completely wrong about this, but this is my fastball. This is my flaming hot take. Emmanuel Quickley will be talked about the way we've been talking about Tyrese Maxey within the next 2 seasons. Anyway, and so I'm not sure where the Raptors go from here. Like I said, I don't think Alexander Sarr solves your problems. I don't even really know who they go after in this draft. I mean, you probably have your power forward and small forwards of the future in Scotty and RJ. Your shooting guard position, You're probably holding it out for Grady Dick. You don't know yet, so you'll see there. I like Cody Williams out of this draft. I think he's going to be good. You got Jacoby Walter, Stephon Cassell. I think they could all be good fits there. I don't know though. None of those guys moved the needle for that team though, so it's just a weird position to be in. I really don't know. I don't want to say purgatory because they're not mid. They're bad. Like they're not good. They're not a good basketball team, and they're probably gonna finish in the bottom seven at the bare minimum, bottom seven. I see. I mean, where do they go? What's the plan, Masai? And I feel like that's been the question for the last 3 years. What's the plan, Masai? 5 years ago, we were talking about him being the best GM in the league. Now here we are. He could have gotten what, like 8 total first round picks last year if he would have traded Pascal and OG at the deadline last year like he had intended to. He would have at least gotten 4 for OG. He was trying to, and he almost did. There were for sure teams that probably would have done it. Maybe not for OG, but for Pascal for sure. And he whiffed on it. And these picks that he's getting aren't even going to be good. One of them is the Pacers' own, which is going to be like, what, 19 or 20 in this draft? And then the other two are 2026 ones that who knows what they're going to be. Are you planning on flipping those for who? None of it makes sense to me. If I had to give a grade for both of these teams, for the Pacers, I'm going to B plus, maybe an A minus. I could be after I watch like one game of them, I could so be swayed to an A minus A, just because of the idea of them on the fast break just entices me a lot. I think it's going to look so good. Um, and for the Raptors, I've seen people giving them Bs, B minuses. This is like a C, man. I mean, the only good thing that's coming out of this is the fact that you got 3 first round picks. And even then, the picks aren't that good. Bruce Brown is gone in a year probably. Are you accepting his team option? I don't think so. You probably want to save cap space. Kira Lewis, who is he even going to be in the rotation? Probably not. I wouldn't think so. Like, what are we doing here? And I haven't even mentioned Jordan Nwora because it's Jordan Nwora. He's in the rotation sometimes for the Pacers and out the next night. So who knows what it's going to be like for the Raptors? I really don't get it. It's going to be ugly basketball in Toronto for the next 30 odd games, 40 games. I'm not excited at all. Praying for you, Raptors fans. All right. And to move on, in our next segment, we're going to do some matchup previews. And so, like with the box score watchers, on Fridays I will do matchup previews of the football games coming up. I won't do all of them because it's a lot, but I'll do most. And for Mondays, I will just do some of the standout basketball games and baseball games for the week, stuff like that. So, oh yes, I will be covering baseball whenever that starts back up. Those will be the 3 big things: will be baseball, football, and basketball. I don't know enough hockey to talk about it and not be ruthlessly criticized, so I'm gonna stay away. Maybe eventually, but for now, and I will talk about soccer when the World Cup comes around, because I love Kylian Mbappe with all my heart and soul. Anyways, matchup previews for Saturday's football slate. First, we're starting off with my Ravens versus the Texans. Right out of the gate, and got the announcement today and yesterday that Mark Andrews probably not going to play, probably not suiting up. Not devastating. I kind of saw it coming. Uh, I'm fine with it. Isaiah Likely has been such a monster over these past 6 games. I think our offense has looked perfectly, I don't say perfectly fine without him, but we haven't missed a beat so far. We've obviously missed Mark, but get healthy, beat the Texans, and get back for the championship game. But you have to beat the Texans first. And that is what we're here to talk about, if they can. because the Texans are good. Texans are looking real good. I was always on the C.J. Stroud train, on the Tank Dell train. I've always liked him. I thought the picks, the trading up to get him and Will Anderson, was a good move from the jump. I always liked it. I didn't expect this level of success this fast, but this team is good. I think the main thing the Ravens need to be concerned about is making sure that they make that offensive line's life an absolute living hell. We're number one in sacks this year for a reason. We need to keep that up. If we do not get pressure on CJ, it is going to be a shootout. A shootout. Not that it won't be close regardless, because it will be. It's going to be a close game. But it is going to be a back and forth war if we do not get pressure. I need a Justin Madubuike sack more than I need air right now. I'm putting that out into the air. On the Texans side of things, I mean, obviously, slow down Lamar. That's the big thing. But I think their biggest thing is going to be Devin Singletary. He's going to have a good game. Because the Ravens' whole idea is giving up plays in the run game to shut you down in the pass game, right? Singletary's been good ever since Damian went out with his injury, and I kind of am expecting a lot from him. I expect him to go over 85 yards. We're going to really need to contain him if we really want to slow this offense down. And like I said, it hasn't really been in our strategy so far this year. And if we let Singletary beat us, we could be in for a long one. It's going to be interesting. Now, on the other side, the defense, our defense, good thing, we have first-team All-Pro Kyle Hamilton on our team, because he is who I believe is the Ravens' X factor in this game. His ability to be everywhere on the field at once is going to prove so important, not just in this game, but throughout the entire playoffs if we win this weekend. I'm not going to guarantee a win. I'm not going to be that guy. I would hate to be that guy. And I'm not going to disrespect the Texans like that because they're a good team with a legitimate chance. Anyways, Kyle Hamilton is going to be so important to this game. He needs to shut down every part of the field that he backpedals to. If he is on his game like he always is and he's fully healthy, then we are going to be good to go, and I feel good about this game. Now, for the Texans' X factor, I kind of already alluded to this with us needing to get pressure. Their offensive line needs to stop us because, like I said, we're first in sacks in the league for a good reason. Mike McDonald is a genius. His blitz schemes are incredible, and the fact that he has been just an absolute madman about this stuff all year, and it's been nothing but absolute success, has been mind-blowing. I mean, getting 9 sacks out of Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Van Noy is just ridiculous. So, the Texans need to do. I'm not sure. I know Laramie's health is kind of in question right now. He needs to have the game of his life. Him and that whole Texans O-line, if they really, really, really want to have a fight in this. If they really want to have a puncher's chance to win this thing, they cannot allow more than 1 sack. 2 sacks. If it is more than a 2-sack game, CJ's going to be hurried. It's going to be a lot of pressure in his face, a lot of hits. And that's going to wear him down. So, the offensive line needs to lock in if they want to make sure this is a good, competitive game. And if I have to go a score prediction here, I will say 30-27 Ravens. I'm going to come down to a game-winning Justin Tucker field goal. That's my prediction. On to the Niners game. Now, I'm actually really, really, really excited about this game. I think this could almost be a better matchup than Chiefs-Bills. I really like this Packers team. Their defense is hitting their stride at the right time. The big thing I put in my notes was that Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker need to absolutely shut down the middle of the field. They can take that away from San Francisco, and it's going to be huge, especially taking away George Kittle. If he can be a non-factor, they have a very good shot. Because if he's a non-factor, I also imagine Jair will be out on Ayuk. Jair is the X factor in this. Quay and Devondre are very important to them winning, but Jair is the X factor. Quay and Devondre shutting down the middle of the field doesn't mean anything if he's getting torched by Brandon or Debo the whole game. If Jair can lock down and keep Brandon in check, along with those two doing their thing, watch out. And obviously, the whole defense needs to be tackling. The 49ers are one of the best yards after catch teams in the league. They have to tackle. Have to shut down the middle of the field. Have to shut down Ayuk. If they do that, I like their odds. On the Niners side, they got to get pressure early. That front seven needs to be firing. Firing. And they need their guys like Javon Kinlaw, Trey Greenlaw, all need to step up. Those guys on the margins, those rotational guys, need big games from them. But yeah, they have to get pressure on Jordan Love. Also for the Packers offense, Aaron Jones needs to run the damn ball. The whole goal of the Packers offense on Saturday should be keep the Niners off the field. Run the ball, run the clock, long, sustained drives. Keep Jordan clean, run the ball, time of possession. Keep them off the field for as long as possible. The more time your offense has and the less theirs does, the higher your odds get. So run the damn ball. And lastly, for the 49ers, I'm very interested to see the matchup between Preston Smith and Colton McKivitz. If Preston can win that consistently and put some pressure in Brock's face, I'm interested to see how it goes. Like I said, Packers defense hitting their stride at the right time. Really, really like the pieces they have over there. If all of those things go right for the Packers, I'm going to go 24-20 Niners. But more realistically, 31-17 Niners. All right, two more things before we get out of here. First, I want to talk about, as of a couple weeks ago, the XFL and the USFL officially merged into the UFL starting in March. And I am super excited about this because I have been saying they should do this ever since both leagues started. It just made way more sense at the time. I knew both leagues were not going to get the ratings that they were looking for and not make the revenue that was going to be needed. So it made way more sense in my head if they would have just come together originally and merged. And it took them a while, but they figured it out, and they did it. And I think it's going to be great because the more teams that are in the league, the longer the season is. The longer the season is, the more money that comes in from ticket sales, ad revenue, concessions, merchandise, all that stuff. And all that money coming in helps create a better product because then the owners, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, all those people, they can make a better league. They can pay more players, show other players who were maybe on the fence, oh, they're making this much money? Cool, let me get in on this. Making just a better product overall, a better telecast, better merchandise, all that stuff. More money, more accessibility, more TV ratings, all of that stuff. And I think it's going to be really good. I don't think it'll ever get on par to the NFL. And I don't think it should ever be an NFL feeder league. That has just never made sense to me. I don't see how it would work. I mean, football is just so different from baseball in terms of development and all that stuff that I just don't see it being a viable option. I don't think enough people are going to come from it. Like, it being a feeder league right now where, like, at the end of every season, like, a handful of guys from the league end up signing contracts because they had good years in the UFL, yeah, I'm all for that. But being, like, an official minor league NFL, no. It just makes no sense to me. It wouldn't work out logistically. And like I said, it's not baseball. Development is so much different in football. It's so much more fast paced. And for the most part, with most positions, you want that immediate experience. You can't really get that if you're playing in the UFL, which is just a completely different brand of football in the first place. So I don't think it's a good idea to be a minor league, but I love the idea of them merging, and I think it's going to do some huge things for the league in the next coming years. And last but not least, we are going to end with a segment. Now, for now, it's called Twitter Trash because if you're on Twitter, you know it is trash. And no, I am not calling it X. Do not correct me and tell me it is called X. No, it's not. It's called Twitter. And I refuse to call it X because I know within like a year and a half, Elon's going to get fed up of being bullied on the internet, is going to lose so much money for the company that he's going to look like an embarrassment, and he is going to sell the thing back to Jack. Maybe not back to Jack, but he's going to sell it. And he's not going to be the owner in like a year and a half. So I'm not calling it X. Because it also sounds stupid. Anyways, Twitter Trash, where I go into Twitter and normally open it up immediately and find something that makes me angry. And this one today came from a user who claims that artists and athletes are the same type of celebrity, and that your favorite artist winning album of the year is on par with your favorite team winning the Super Bowl. And as someone who considers themselves a pretty big fan of music, and that was probably the dweebiest thing I think I've ever said. I think everybody's a pretty big fan of music. Anyways, as someone who's pretty passionate about a lot of the artists that they like, I've seen them win Album of the Year before. Doesn't even come close to the first time I ever saw the Ravens win the Super Bowl. Doesn't even come close to 2011 World Series. Not even a little bit. There's just such a personal connection that comes with being a fan and just growing up a fan of a team and going through all these hardships. Because the only hardship you really go through with your favorite musical artist is that they're not mainstream. Nobody really knows who they are. Their sales aren't through the roof. They're not charting like that. That's the only struggles you're really dealing with. And it's not a struggle that's really affecting you. You're just like, oh, I wish more people would listen to my favorite artist. I hope he blows up one day. Whatever. With your favorite team, there is probably not a lot of worse feelings for a sports fan than having just an atrociously bad losing season, or a season where you're so mid it hurts because you know you're not good enough to be in contention and not bad enough to be the worst and get the superstar that's going to save your franchise. Seasons like that, lows like that, come nowhere close to the lows that you could receive from being a fan of an artist. Outside of them doing something illegal, but even then, I'm not broken up about that the way I am about my team. Like, let's say a Lions fan going 0-16. Absolutely not. I see where he's coming from about that athletes and artists are the same type of celebrity. See the point. It just, there's such a difference in the personal connection to me. And maybe it's different for people who are just exclusively music fans and aren't as big into sports. But as someone who's both, I can personally say that winning a Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar winning Album of the Year. And I don't think that's that crazy. I think that's pretty accurate just because, like I said, it's such a personal connection with the sports team. And you can have a personal connection with music. And, you know, I've had a lot of albums that have, I consider, changed my life, changed the way I've looked at certain things, changed my mindset. None of them have ever come close to having the impact on me as a sports team has. So that's my rant about Twitter trash for today. And that'll wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the first episode of Boundin and Astoundin. I hope you all enjoyed. If you are listening to this on YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, please. It helps the channel. Currently have one subscriber right now, and it's me. So I'd love to boost that number. If you're listening to this on Spotify, leave it a like, 5 stars, all that good stuff. Just want to say thank you so much. I'm super excited to see where this goes. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit more organized and fluid next time. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. And don't forget to stay active on the boards, y'all.